Hello and welcome. I'm SAG-AFTRA Executive Vice President Ben Whitehair. Thank you all so much for joining us for another SAG-AFTRA live stream on YouTube. To stay current with all of our live stream and video events, we invite you to subscribe to this channel, which you can even do right now. Today, as always, we are joined by American Sign Language interpreter, today Zachary Goldstein. As a reminder, today's program is being recorded and you can watch the replay right here on SAG-AFTRA's YouTube channel, along with tons of other wonderful content. Today, we present the PTEOE, President's Task Force on Education, Outreach, and Engagement live stream, TV theatrical background costume fittings and wardrobe allowances. When we're working as background performers, what we're wearing so often sets the tone for what's happening in the scene. If a producer wants a really specific look, sometimes that means bringing us in for a costume fitting or requesting that we provide a specific wardrobe. Today, we're getting the basics on how we're compensated for the time or materials necessary to get the scene just right. I am so happy to have with us again, SAG-AFTRA National Director, Background, and New York Entertainment Contracts, Stephanie Perry. Prior to assuming her current role, Stephanie supported members for nearly 2 decades through several positions at SAG and SAG-AFTRA as a business representative, manager, director, and senior director of entertainment contracts, where she oversaw administration and enforcement of all entertainment agreements. Basically, Stephanie knows what she's talking about. Before her service at the union, Stephanie held legal, business, affairs, and contract roles at various entertainment conglomerates, such as 4Kids Entertainment and a little company you might have heard of, Marvel, Inc. Stephanie, thank you for being here. Let's buckle up and zip through this.
Thank you so much, Ben, for that wonderful introduction. I could not have done it any better. That's why you are the expert. And I am so happy to be here today to discuss with you all costume fittings and wardrobe allowances for background actors who are employed on TV theatrical films. And the first slide that I'm going to start to discuss is really going to focus on costume fittings. And so I'm going to give you all a good idea of what are the basic rules that a background actor should be aware of when they're being called for a costume fitting. So that being said, the costume fitting has been talked about is when the producer is going to instruct the background actor to report somewhere. They want them to be fitted with the costume or to maybe meet the wardrobe staff so they can see what type of wardrobe that you may have, that they may want to select, and basically have you wear while you're engaged for services on the TV or the theatrical production. And they will always call that a costume or wardrobe fitting. Now we're going to talk about what type of payment is owed to a background actor who's fitted on a day prior to the actual work call for principal photography. That is a payment, and that is a payment of 1/4 of your daily rate, and that is for a 2-hour period. That fitting rate, that quarter check, it's always going to be based upon that background actor's work classification, whether you're a general background actor, a special ability, or a photo double. And there is payment that is built in if the production does go beyond the 2-hour minimum. That's going to be paid in 30 minutes additional time, and that's hourly rates. One of the things that I do want to note that these are rules when you're being asked to attend a costume fitting prior to the day that you work. It is always possible for a producer to ask you to have the fitting on the day of principal photography. And if that happens, then your start date is going, your start time is going to be the time that they called you to arrive on set for your fitting, which would be first. So this is really going to be treated as one part of a long continuous stay that you're receiving compensation for. So this is a good known fact. If the background actor is fitted, you are automatically guaranteed a day of work on that production. And if you are not given a day of work, you will be given a day's pay. Also, a background actor can be asked to bring wardrobe to a costume fitting. And if you do that, you are entitled to receive 1/2 of that applicable allowance rate for that costume that you're bringing. I have seen instances where a background actor does attend a fitting. And remember, you're guaranteed that day of work. So if you're subsequently canceled by background casting, you again will be paid either that straight 8, or they will call you and give you the guaranteed day of work that you're owed under the contract. Now we're going to talk a little bit about wardrobe allowances and the rules surrounding that. Now, the first outfit that the background actor does report into is not something that triggers payment. The producer can ask background actors to report in jeans and a white t-shirt, or perhaps a red shirt and white pants, and that will not trigger payment under the collective bargaining agreement. However, keep in mind that if they do ask a background actor to report in some type of wardrobe that we would say is dress costume, or it's very unique, or just something that's completely out of the ordinary, and if you are working in a market where, let's say, you're taking public transportation, you are not required to do that. That background actor can notify casting and basically say, I'm taking public transportation, and the wardrobe that the producer desires me to report into is something that's of a unique or out of the ordinary element, and it isn't really safe or feasible for me to do that. And then at that point in time, most likely the background actor is going to be asked to bring that wardrobe with them. In that case, if you do bring wardrobe with you with the expectation that you're going to change into it when you arrive at set, I want you all to keep in mind that the producer does have an obligation to provide a place that's reasonably comfortable and certainly private, so background actors can change into the wardrobe that they were requested to bring. This is a really good rule of thumb, but a restroom, it would not be acceptable as a changing facility. So if you're on a film or TV production set and you encounter that, that's something that you would absolutely want to contact the union about so we can have that rectified. So with our next slide, if the producer does now request that background actor to bring an additional complete change of wardrobe, because remember, you can be asked to report in one, then basically at that point in time, you will be paid a $9 allowance, and that's per day for the first complete change, and then $6.25 for each additional change. And I want you to think of it in this sense. It's a schlepping fee. You're bringing this wardrobe, and so you'll be compensated first at that $9 allowance for that first complete change, and then $6.25 for each additional change that you're requested to bring thereafter. Now, when a background actor is asked to furnish formal attire, we're talking about some type of natural dress costume, a fur, a Palm Beach suit, or a uniform, but we're going to, for right now, specifically carve out a police uniform. That has a different allowance fee attached to it, and that's $18 each day. And that is what the background actor will receive when they bring that type of wardrobe with them. On our next slide, this is now where we are going to talk specifically about a police uniform, and that has a higher allowance attached to it. That's $36 per day. And on our next slide, I want to really point out that this is so important, and I know that there's a lot of confusion about this, but it's a schlepping fee. So that means that if you are requested by the producer to bring the wardrobe, that is the reason why you are going to be paid the allowance for the wardrobe. It's not based on whether or not you wear it on camera. So that's always really important, that when you're told how many wardrobe pieces to bring, you will bring those complete changes, and then you'll be paid accordingly under the contract. Please keep in mind that options or choices, that is a change. So if you're directed, whether it's by casting, a member of the AD team, or actually someone specifically in wardrobe to bring options or choices, they're looking for complete changes, and that you are to be paid for that. Background actors are never, ever required to leave their wardrobe overnight on set. However, the company could ask, and you have to actually give an agreement that you would be willing to do so. And if you do decide so, then you'll get the daily wardrobe allowance for that specific wardrobe that they're going to basically hold. This kind of, I think, goes back to when I say options or choices, the crux of all of this is that the producer is specifically requesting this wardrobe. And that's always key. We don't encourage our members to volunteer to bring anything of that nature because of the language and because of the fact that it does hinge on the producer having a desire for that. If you are being specifically told by a member of the production staff that it's really expected of a professional background actor to volunteer wardrobe, please contact the union. That's not really necessarily the case. Of course, our members are always ready and prepared to work, but of course the wardrobe is being specifically requested by the producer. Any costumes or wardrobe or any type of article of clothing that's provided by the producer, that always has to be clean and it must be sanitary before it's given to background actors. And the other thing that I think everyone should definitely keep in mind, that background actors only can be required to wear wardrobe or clothing that's provided from another performer or another background actor if it has been cleaned. There's no expectation for a background actor to wear any wardrobe, particularly if you're working as a stand-in for a principal performer, and obviously you do need to match them. That wardrobe must always be clean and sanitized. And if there are any concerns about that, I would strongly encourage you to call the union so we can address that. That concludes our presentation about wardrobe and allowances for background actors employed under the TV theatrical contract. As always, if you have any questions, please always feel free to email us at backgroundactorsinfo@sagaftra.org. And I always invite you all to visit our wonderful website, www.sagaftra.org, for even further information. I hope everyone found this very valuable. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Much appreciated. Have a couple questions for you that we've gotten in from members. First question, is there a cap on time and or pay for costume fitting?
No, Ben, there is not a cap on pay or the time for a costume fitting. As we talked about in the presentation, if it does go over the 2 hours, which the quarter check is the minimum for that, additional time will be paid in 30-minute units at straight time rates.
Okay, got it. Very helpful. Something that we really wish didn't happen, but it does. If I'm fitted and then they cancel my work day, how soon will I get paid for the fitting?
Mm-hmm. So that would follow our normal payment requirements under the schedules. So I would say that those checks would always need to be post the following week, Friday or Thursday, depending if you're working under Schedule X1 or Schedule X2. If you find that, that has not come in the amount of time that it should, I would certainly encourage members to give us a call at the Background Actors Department so we can help them.
Yeah, that was my next question. Who do I contact if I don't receive my wardrobe allowance?
Absolutely. That's a great question. If you're on set and if it's something where it's not properly reflected on your voucher, you can certainly speak with one of the ADs there. If it's something after the fact where perhaps it is notated on your voucher, but you've received your pay stub and you don't see it there, that is something as well that the background actors department can help the member with. And we would encourage you to email us or give us a call.
Yeah, I will just echo from my own personal experience, when there are discrepancies in what we're supposed to be paid, letting the union know, like that is why we have a union. There is a staff of people who are there to make sure that we get paid what we're owed. So I certainly encourage anybody watching, if you're not sure, was I supposed to be paid for this? You can always reach out and staff can support you in letting you know. And if you were supposed to be paid and you weren't, let's make sure that we get you your money. Member, volunteer leaders and staff work so hard to negotiate these contracts to make sure you get what you deserve and to be paid for this extra effort that goes into it. So make sure that you're getting that money. Last question here, Stephanie. Are producers allowed to use wardrobe I bring for another background performer on set?
That's a great question, Ben. And that can only be done if the background actor who is supplying that wardrobe consents to it. They cannot take your personal wardrobe and give it to another background actor to wear. There has to be obviously consent given and an obvious payment that would come forth from that. That scenario, and I'll also mention this too, Ben, that, sometimes it's not very clear when the background actor is interfacing, whether it's with casting or sometimes with wardrobe. What are the expectations? How many complete changes do you want me to bring? I'm not really sure. And, as I noted earlier, our members are known for being always professionally ready and, to do a great job. And that's something as well that the background actors department can be proactive in assisting our members with. We can have that dialogue with casting, with the producer, determine what their needs are to ensure that our members have clear communication so they can supply what the producers are looking for and be prepared and ready to do their professional best. So I personally would love to be able to get those calls in as early as possible and proactively help our members to ensure that they have a very smooth experience when they're working on set.
I love that. And as a reminder, anytime these things come up, I like to remind our members, you can always report things anonymously. The staff is very well versed in these kinds of challenges. And I know as performers, we often we're there to help. We're there in service. We don't want to maybe rock the boat for these things that are in the contract. Like they signed a contract and this is your money. So it doesn't mean we have to be rude or be a problem, but you're allowed to ask for, what is in your contract, and staff is there to support, to help you figure that out. And you can always even just say, hey, anonymously, I'm seeing this challenge, and that gives staff the opportunity to step in and do something. If they don't know that something's going on, it's, there's basically no way to help solve the problem if they don't know that it's happening. So Stephanie, thank you once again for being here and buttoning up our members' questions. As a reminder to everyone watching, this presentation is available for replay on our YouTube channel, and you can watch them anytime. Send them to friends, other people on set. I know I've been on set recently and fellow members had questions that had been answered in one of these presentations. It's a great thing. You can just send them the link, have them go on the SAG-AFTRA YouTube channel to make sure that all of us as members are as informed as possible. On behalf of the whole team here at SAG-AFTRA, would like to thank you for watching, and a special thanks to our regular viewers who've been tuning in each week for our PTEOE President's Task Force on Education Outreach and Engagement live streams. If you have ideas or topics you'd like us to cover, please email us at pteoe@sagaftra.org. And before we go, if you haven't already, please subscribe to SAG-AFTRA's YouTube channel to get updates on all of the content that we are posting. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.